Jones joining me now here at the Minneapolis Convention Center with his take on what conservatives will need to do to take back the country in 2010 is the founder and the chairman of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, the one and only Ralph Reed. Ralph, welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Appreciate you being...
By the way, Sean, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
Hitting #1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
We just found out
#1 in the country.
The book will debut #1 on the bestseller list. All right, thank you very much.
You bet.
And by the way, thanks to everybody out there. You know, I'm donating the net proceeds to charity. I love being out and seeing great people like this, but I've never been more concerned about the direction of the country, which was the motivation. And I tried to outline 3 parts of the book. 1, how radical the president is in the past, present. 2, what works. Reagan worked, the contract worked. And 3, what do we conservatives believe in? Which we were talking about with Governor Palin and Michelle Bachmann. How do you feel about the chances? You analyze numbers closely. How do you feel about chances for conservative victory?
You know, Sean, I was there in 1980 in the Reagan landslide. I was there in 94, biggest off-year landslide in the 20th century. I'm not really in the prediction business, but I will just tell you in terms of the macro political environment, this is bigger. You look at the Rasmussen numbers by a 49 to 37% margin. The American people say the Republicans can handle the economy better than the Democrats can. You look at health care, it's a 16-point advantage. When Republicans are leading on things like education and health care, this is going to be a big wave.
Yeah, when you look at right track, wrong track polls, generic ballot polls, specific issue polls, all of them, for the first time, Republicans have taken over in a big way. Stan Greenberg and James Carville say, no, the high water mark for the Republicans was in Massachusetts. They peaked too early. Are they right in any way?
No. I was with Stan Greenberg on a show about a week before the 94 elections. And I will never forget him turning to me off air and saying, you guys made a big mistake when you unveiled the contract with America because you gave us something to shoot at. And I said, no, Stan, it gave us something to run on.
That's true.
He was dead wrong then. He's dead wrong now.
I agree.
Now,
go ahead.
The most important predictor of an off-year election's results is the job approval of the incumbent president. Right now, Obama's job approval in Ohio is 41%. In Pennsylvania, it's 46%. Sean, this is a state he carried by 11 points just 2 years ago. His numbers are cratering, and he's going to be an albatross around the neck of every Democratic candidate from one end of the country or the other.
Is this going to be a referendum election on Obama and Congress that, through bribery, bullying, intimidation, supported him to advance his agenda?
I think elections are about the future. They're not about the past. So 2 things are going to be going on. One is a referendum on Obama, and he's going to lose that and lose it badly. The second, and this is what your book speaks to, and it's what the Republicans have got to get their act together on between now and the elections, is if they get the majority in the Senate and the House, and they can, what are they going to do with that majority? It's not just about what you're against, it's what you're for.
Right. We had Newt Gingrich on last night on Hannity, and one of the questions I was asking him, and he made a statement that he thinks sometime around September, doesn't have to be called a contract, it can be called a compact, first principles, doesn't really matter. And I discussed this in the book too. I think there are certain specific items and core principles that if they run on, they'll win. Do you think that'd be a good strategy to sort of duplicate that contract model?
I always think it is. And what we're doing at the Faith and Freedom Coalition is going out and organizing people based on core principles. Free markets, limited government, fiscal responsibility, protection of the sanctity of innocent human life and marriage, a defense posture on terrorism that is designed to leave Islamic terrorism on the ash heap of history.
Apparently, that's Islamic radicalism doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, but as Michelle said earlier, Congresswoman Bachmann, just because you don't use the term anymore doesn't mean it didn't exist.
But that was the whole message of the 9/11 Commission report, that they were a group of people who were at war with us. We weren't at war with them. And it seems like we're just going right back to that mentality that created a vulnerability in America.
Sean, this is an administration that has called terrorist acts man-made disasters, that has said that the war on terror should be banned from our vernacular, that has retreated on everything from Guantanamo to enhanced interrogation and everything else. I'm concerned that the only person who doesn't know we're at war is sitting in the Oval Office, and I think a lot of the American people feel the same way. And
that's a pretty chilling statement. Do you think he is at all aware of the fact, cognitive of the fact? Does he read the polls? Does he read them accurately? Or is all the praise and adulation that he gets sort of, is it inoculating him to the truth of massive crowds like this that showed up today, et cetera?
I think there's a couple of things going on. One is Obama's team's arrogance of saying, well, this is what they said when we took on the Clinton machine. Mm-hmm. They said we couldn't win then. We've been counted out many times before, so there's a little bit of self-deception going on there. The second thing, I think, frankly, is a little more cynical. They know the history of off-year elections. 25 seats lost in the House.
It could be
higher than that, but that's the historical average. So what they know, Sean, is they've got 7 months to ram through everything they can.
All right, Ralph Reed, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being with us in Minneapolis. That does it.